Okay. I think it's this one. Yo. Why you say it like that, dude? Search me. Okay, page 13. All right, so take out your calculator. Either you have a graphing or a 36 Pro. I'll go over the instructions for both of them. They're very similar steps, so just maybe a little bit different in terms of how it's presented, but you can see it's either calculator should be pretty easy to spot. Okay, so mean, standard deviation, and other statistical measurements can be calculated using scientific or graphing calculator. Use the steps that apply to your type of calculator. I'll go with the 36 Pro first, 36X Pro. Let's just go ahead and use the data at that 9.03 practice. So I'm going to enter these numbers in. I'm going to copy that number to the top of the page, and then we can have easy access to them. That way, well, actually, I'm sorry. Let's use the numbers from example 1. Let's just go ahead and go through example 1. Okay, so we'll start with these numbers here. All right. So let me go through the scientific calculator first. First, go ahead and hit data in your calculator. So data is near the directional buttons there. So go to the data button. And then you're going to see 3 columns, and you're going to enter data into the first column. Okay, so this is the first column is these are 3 lists here. This is named L1, this is L2, and L3. So if you wanted to have 3 different sets of data, you can store them all at the same time. So we'll go ahead and enter them in. And it's also helpful. You see that L1, 2, that just means that you are at the second entry. So if you know that you have, for instance, 10 entries, you should be looking at 10. So that's helpful, especially if you accidentally skip a number. You know that something's not quite right if the number doesn't match with how many numbers that you thought you've entered in. If you're trying to do the graphing calculator, you can go ahead and try that. It's in the instruction in that second set of instructions there, TI graphing. Okay, so we should have at the last, by the time we get to the last number, we should be at the 11th number. So there should be 11 numbers that you've entered in. Okay. Oh, and if you already have data and you want to delete it, you can always hit data again, and then there's that option to clear the list. Okay. Now Now that you have your list set, you're going to do second data. So second data will take you to stat, and we're going to do something with this data here. So do second data. Now you have a couple of options. We're going to choose the one variable stats. So it's going to be the second option there, one variable stats. Hit enter. Okay, you're looking at L1, and then FRQ, you're always going to just do 1. Okay, so L1, 1, and then hit enter a couple times until you get to that calc button. Hit enter again. And then these are all the information that it gives us. Okay, it gives us the mean. It may be in a different order than what you see here, but N is the number of terms that you entered in, how many pieces of data. So there's 11. X bar is your mean, is your average of all the numbers added together and divided by 11. So 35.818. Okay. Summation S is the standard deviation of a sample. We're not going to use that as much. We typically use the standard deviation of a population. So lowercase 4.628. Uppercase S is 4.854. Summation X just means all the numbers added together before you divide it by 11, so 394. All this summation of terms squared, which we really don't need for our purposes, but we'll go ahead and write that down here. Sum of all square terms. And then we reach the 5-number summary. It gives us the minimum value, gives us Q1, 33, gives us the median, Q3, and the max, which is 41. Okay. We can also take this and transfer it over to part A, and then you guys can try part B if you like, while I go over the steps for the graphing calculator. Okay, so graphing calculator, go to stat. And then click edit, which is the first option. I already have data in the first. If I want to clear, I can hit clear. Oh, I can go to L1. Sorry, I can hit clear, enter. Okay, so if I highlight L1, if I hit clear and enter, it'll wipe out all the data under L1. I'll go ahead and just clear my here as well. Okay, I'm gonna enter the same set of numbers that I did with the with my other calculator. Okay, again, 11 entries. Next, you're going to go to stat. And stat again. And now you're going to go over to calc. Scroll over to calc, and then first option there, one variable stats. Okay, now most of us probably entered under L1, so you want to choose the L1 option. The way you get there is, you see how there's a L1 feature there above 1. It's in blue, so you gotta hit the second one. Second one will take you to L1 if it's not already selected. Okay, don't worry about frequency list. You can just hit enter there. And then go to calculate. Okay, it'll give you a lot of the same data. Maybe it's a different order than the previous calculator, but all the information is there. Okay, any questions with calculator? Yeah. Let's see. I think you just hit enter. Yeah. Leave that a second.
For standard, you want to see its population? Like,
Yeah, let me see. Population. Yeah, we'll do it for population. Yeah, so lowercase sigma is what we want to use for standard deviation. Yeah. Okay, so a lot of these numbers I entered can be transferred below, and then go ahead and try parts B as well, and I'll follow up with what I gather as well. Go ahead. Okay, so there's really not a whole lot to do once you can enter in the calculator and get all this information. You just have to be able to read and put it on paper. But after do a couple of this, once you're feeling pretty comfortable with the calculator, we'll try to do a little bit of a preview into tomorrow so that we can get a little bit ahead and that we have a little bit more review for our quiz, which won't be until next Wednesday. But it's good to try to get ahead if we can. Okay, so I'm going to try part B here. So you want to identify that lowercase sigma. That's going to be your standard deviation that we want of a population. Okay, so check my work. You guys get that as well? Okay. Okay, let's try example 2. We're now able to compare information between sets a lot faster, right? We can. So to save time, you may want to just go ahead and enter this under L2, enter into L3, and then you can, you don't have to keep erasing and reusing the same list, right? Okay, compare the mean and standard deviation of the following sets of data: miles per gallon for hybrids versus miles per gallon for sedans. And we expect hybrids to be a little bit more efficient, right, than sedans. But I have L2 holding my first set of data, and then I have L3 holding my second set of data. It's okay, whichever way you want to do it, just have to make sure that you're calling the appropriate list when you're ready to evaluate. So I'm going to do calc one variable stat for my L2. So if I want to get to my L2, I got to do second 2 to reach that L2, right? So second 2, you can leave that frequency list alone. Okay, so what I can observe here is obviously hybrids have a much better average amongst different brands than sedans. But also there's more fluctuation in terms of the miles per gallon. It's a little bit more spread out than the sedans. Looks like sedans are a little bit clustered, they're pretty close, right? Clustered a little bit more closely than hybrids. So higher average for hybrids, but there's also more spread amongst hybrid mile per gallon data. Okay, let me walk around for a minute, just make sure that you guys don't have any issues with your calculator. And if you guys are good, then just go ahead and move on to the next section. There's no need to do all this if it's just a matter of plugging in and reading off of the calculator. Make sure you guys are comfortable with everything that you're entering into the calculator. Try that. Yeah, yes. Doesn't matter. So, or yes. Oh, just make sure that you're squaring something. Ball. There's no way. Okay, everybody good?